We want to bring in the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, Republican Congressman Michael McCaul of Texas. Thank you, Congressman, for being on the show this morning. You're being briefed clearly on the situation here, multiple bombing situations in New York and New Jersey. I guess the first most active question is, beyond saying, you know, we all need to be vigilant at all times, is there a credible concern that there might be more bombs or bombers out there connected with this?
Well, I know there were some calls that came in warning that other bombs would go off. We always have to worry about that in these types of situations. Remember the old Al-Qaeda playbook manual? Always talked about simultaneous events, bombs going off simultaneously in multiple locations, which is what we saw, I think, Saturday night, unfortunately. I don't think these sources are credible that other bombs were out there, but you have to take that threat seriously. I know that NYPD and FBI are investigating those leads right now. I think the good news is, as you mentioned, we are starting to move in on the manhunt, if you will, given the video that we have recovered and the tips that we have recovered from just the good people of New York. I think we're now closing in on a person of interest, a suspect, this McCaul Rahmani, who also, by the way, lives in New Jersey. So it's interesting to see if there's a connection between the events of what happened in the Chelsea neighborhood and then what happened in New Jersey at the Marine charity run.
I want to zoom in on something you just said, that there were calls coming in that there were other bombs out there and that the NYPD and the FBI are investigating those calls. What do you mean by that? Can you be more specific?
Well, obviously the individual who called in with that information has been talked to, and it's being followed up as any lead would. The question is whether that was a credible lead or phone call coming in.
Coming into the police. Is that what you meant? Is that a threat, or people calling concerned they're seeing backpacks? Was it a threat?
No, it was more of a threat that other bombs would go off, and so that is obviously something that's being run down. I think the good news is I do think the perpetrators here are now much more inside the bullseye of the investigation, and you know, when you got this device, you have fingerprints and DNA material. It's been sent to Quantico for examination. We can get all sorts of valuable information from that device that can lead us to the perpetrators.
Can you tell us any connection between McCaul Rahmani and the people who were stopped at the Verrazano Bridge?
We're not sure about that. I mean, I know that those individuals were stopped. I know that also, in addition to the pipe bombs in New Jersey, that this other device was found in a backpack at another pressure cooker in New Jersey, around the area where the charity run event was to take place. But I think those are more in the lines of tips that are coming into both the FBI and New York Police Department. But I think this is moving rapidly, and I think you're going to see the FBI closing in quickly.
Is McCaul Rahmani a suspect? And what do we know about his background and his record?
Well, right now he's called a person of interest, but he is labeled as armed and dangerous. That says a lot to me, that he is more along the lines of a suspect. We do know he is of Afghan descent. So when we talk about, this was an act of terror. I don't think there's any question about that. I think the question has been all along is what was the motivation? Was it Islamist-based terror, or was it some other motivation to detonate these explosive devices? This is very consistent with what we've seen in the past from both Al-Qaeda and ISIS in terms of the Times Square bomber, the Boston bomber, as you recall, used pressure cooker bombs and also pipe bombs as the chase scene ensued when they tried to apprehend him after the fact. So I think they have a track record here, if you will. We've seen this movie before, using pressure cookers to kill Americans. I think it's very consistent, very likely that we're going to find at the end of the day, and now given the name that we have of the person of interest, that it was Islamist-based terror.
Okay, so if adding to that, is there credible information coming in that would point to an active terror cell in the tri-state area?
That's my concern, and that's law enforcement's concern. We have the reporting from law enforcement of the individual with a duffel bag at 23rd Street where a device was left. Same duffel bag occurs at 27th Street. Two other individuals go to that duffel bag to unload the pressure cooker bomb that we know did not go off. But what that indicates to me as a former federal prosecutor is that now you have a conspiracy. And now you have a cell, not just a lone wolf acting by himself, but rather an operational cell of terrorists who together to kill Americans.
All right. Chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, Michael McCaul, thank you very much. Hopefully we'll talk to you soon and hear more about this. Thank you for being